Welcome to the Grueling Truth Boxing Legends Show, brought to you by Gridiron Mo, a new interactive football app where you get to call what you think the offense or defense should do during a live NFL game and see what all other fans have called also. Check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. As always, I'm your host for the Boxing Legends Show, Mike Goodpaster. We have a very special guest today. Our guest today was a former 5-time world champion, has had his life made into a major motion picture, Bleed for This, which I believe will be out in theaters in October. Help me welcome to the Grueling Truth, Vinny Paz. How you doing, Vinny?
The Grueling Truth. I like that.
You like that? All right. I figured
like
that was perfect for you, too. So
the Grueling Truth. Ain't that the truth?
Well, the truth is always grueling, I think. So
yeah, a lot of times it is.
All right. Now, I remember watching you when I was a little younger. We're close to the same age, I think. But I remember seeing a story about how you first got into boxing from the Rocky movies and how the next day you were actually, hitting a heavy bag. I was kind of the same thing. The next day I had my dad, he went out and got me an army bag and filled it up with whatever, I think sand. You want to talk to us a little bit about what first got you into boxing?
Wow, it's so crazy. I believe it was 1976 or 77 that Rocky came out. And I started boxing when I was only 5 years old. I loved Muhammad Ali. I liked Muhammad Ali and I liked Roberto Duran. And you too. See,
yeah,
good company. But I boxed from 5 to 10. The organization went from 5 to 10 years old, and it was when I look back now and think about it, it was crazy that so many people came to see me fight. Even when I was little, when I was 8, 9 years old, like so many people came to see me fight. Like I was the main attraction of the whole place. There was 50 kids. They had like 25 bouts a night, 3 1-minute rounds, and I was always like a standout for some reason or other. And I stopped at 10 years old, but I kept boxing. Like I took guys in my cellar, in my garage, and I would always win. I'd always beat whoever the guy was that I was fighting all the time, even when the guys were bigger than me. So I just had a knack for fighting. And then when I believe I was 15 years old, I went up the street from my house to the movie theater with a couple of friends, and saw that crazy-ass movie, Rocky. Rocky 1. And it was just so amazing to me. It was so friggin' inspiring. The music was awesome, which is the case in my movie that's coming up. And anyways, I was hook, line, and sinker. I went home and I woke up the next morning, and I woke my parents up, and I had my jogging stuff on, and I said, "Ma, Dad, I'm going to be a boxer. I'm going jogging." My mother jumps up. She goes, "You and Angelo, tell him he is not going to be a boxer." Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Well, you didn't get up and drink the raw eggs when you woke up that first morning.
No, I didn't go that far. But my father I'll never forget, he just kept, like, he had his back towards my mother, and he was facing the other side of the room, and he said, "Champ, go back to bed, will you? Go back to sleep." So I'm like, "No, Dad, I'm going to go jogging." My father took me that night to the gym, to a boxing gym, and that was it from there.
Now, you talk about your father. I know a lot of boxers, have problems working with their father. I know your dad was at least in your corner. I mean, what was your relationship like with your father?
Looking back, I got so lucky because it's only luck. You got to be lucky to have good parents.
Yeah.
A lot of people will know what I'm talking about when I say that. You got to be lucky, and I was so lucky. I had a great mother and a great dad. They helped me out so much. I don't know if I could have even done it without them. Probably not. And my father was like my biggest fan. He'd friggin' fight with people, argue about me. I'm the greatest of all time. Like my father thought I could have beat Sugar Ray Robinson. That just tells you how much of a fan he was.
Well, at that time you might have been able to because Sugar Ray was like 70. So
yeah, right. I know he'd have to be older than that.
Maybe he
before I
meant
beat
currently.
That guy.
You had
boy.
over 100 amateur fights. I think you won a national championship. 1981. What stands
81,
out
yeah.
for your amateur career?
You know, I fought in front of Fidel Castro in Cuba. There were a lot of standout moments in the amateurs. But my crowning glory, the biggest one, was I was on ABC television and I won the Nationals. And I'll never forget, I beat this kid from Louisiana, Timmy Rabone. He was knocking out everybody.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, he was a tall black kid, and I'm like the little white boy. It was just so nuts, and there was so many Italian people in Syracuse at the event. The crowd was going nuts. I think there was about 10,000 people there, and I dropped him in the last round. I won the fight. It was so Rocky-ish. You know, I hate to use that term, but it was just like the Rocky thing. You know, coming from behind. I lost the first round bad. I'm bleeding like a sieve, and it was one of the highlights of my boxing career. Another highlight, which I'll never forget, is when I fought Joe Frazier's son, Joe Jr., in the Providence Civic Center. I'll never forget that. I stopped him in the 7th round, and the Civic Center was packed. It was the largest crowd ever. There was around 15,000 people there for that. A sold-out standing room only. What an amazing night that was. And then my first world title, and then I was getting my ass kicked because I couldn't make the weight no more, and I was getting beat. I moved up 3 weight classes. I'm with Kevin Rooney. The top of my game, I have the greatest fight of my life against Gilbert Delay, and boom, I break my neck in the car accident.
Well, Vinny, you just covered 9 questions in 20 seconds.
Sorry.
But, so you threw me off there a little bit. Now, at 154, you talk about the Gilbert Delay win. I think that's the best I ever saw you at. Do you think that was your best weight?
Yeah, that was my best fight by far, and just because, it's all about styles, and his style was made right up from my alley. He was a big puncher. You know, he kept pressing me, and I boxed him, moved him, I stalked him, I boxed him, I was in, I was out. It was just like the greatest night ever for me, anyways. And then I broke my neck a couple weeks later.
Yeah, before we get to that, though, you brought up a man, Kevin Rooney. I'm sure everybody's heard of him. I mean, you were in the middle.
Yeah.
I think you lost to Mayweather, Camacho, and Garza kind of in a row. Kevin Rooney kind of came in and turned you around. You want to talk about us what your relationship was like with him and how he resurrected
Kevin.
your career?
Love Kevin. Love him. To this day, I love him. Last time I saw him, I hugged him. I cried. He's got dementia pretty bad. And sad, but me and Kevin were buddies, and he stayed at my house about a month and a half before each fight. He would come here, he would literally sober up and not drink for the entire period of time he was with me, and I just loved him. He was awesome. We worked great together. He put a lot of great defense into my game, and I was a beast with Kevin. I was with him for about a decade.
Well, and after you had your best fights, I mean, you talked about you had the car crash, broken neck. Doctors told you would never fight again. Did you ever believe them even for a moment? And what drove you to overcome such a life-threatening injury?
You know, I was 29 years old, in the prime of my life, and I just. Crazy as it is, I just wouldn't accept it, and it's great inspiration for people. The movie is going to be so inspiring. As I'm talking to you, I don't know if you can hear that, but my girlfriend's beeping in. Of course, it's always a chick. It's always problems because of a chick. But
they cause all the problems guys have, by the way.
Hell yeah, we all got them. I don't care if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're good looking, if you're ugly, if you're broke. We all got problems with chicks. And I never been married, and I have no kids. On purpose, I have no kids. This is a whole nother subject we're talking about, but just I want to clarify that. What is your audience? What is your listening audience? Do you have a span? Do you know about how many people tune in? What do you have? Like, can you give me?
Yeah, we're usually about 20 to 25,000 a week.
Cool. And are those internet people, computer people, radio people?
A little bit of everything, because everybody can listen to us on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, all those. So.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, next question.
All right. So, I mean, you obviously didn't believe them, and I read that you actually trained with the broken neck when you weren't supposed to, lifting weights. I mean, did it ever worry you that something worse could come of this by doing that?
Yeah. Yeah. But I didn't care. It's funny because when you say something, when you talk like that to me, I think that one day I don't know why it sticks out so vividly in my mind. I was with my mother at their house, my father's and mother's house, and I was sitting there at the table with her with the halo on, and we were talking, and I just at one point she said something to me, and she was like, "Vinny, why do you got to do this?" And I'm like, "Ma, listen to me, Ma." I said, "Don't get mad, don't cry, but listen, I'm going to make this happen, or I'm going to die trying. That's the bottom line, Ma. I swear to God." So she started bawling. I was like, "Ma, don't cry. You don't got to cry. Everything will be fine. This is what I want to do." And that's it. I went wild from there.
Yeah, you fought 10 months later. Yeah, you fought 10 months
40
later.
later.
Won.
Yeah,
you got on a roll, and then you talked about one of your legends one of your heroes growing up was Roberto Duran. What was it like to actually fight Roberto Duran twice?
It was really odd, kind of weird. Like, I was like, oh my God. When I first met him too, I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy was my idol. Oh my God. And now he's pissed off at me. He wants to kill me. I'm like, holy shit. So it like he started talking, like dogging me when he got up on the microphone. He went from idol, from hero to me, to like the biggest nemesis I've ever had. Oh, he was nasty to me. He got up there right away, started talking shit about me, and I was like, oh my God! I held my heart. It was like it was like a nail going through my heart. I was like, dude, I like this freaking guy. Oh my God! Now he's talking shit about me. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, but that probably made it even better, right? It's what he did with everybody else too, and it probably got you to think of it not so surreal, but hey, I need to beat this guy. Absolutely.
Roberto was a bad dude, man. He was a bad dude. And let me tell you, I fought him when he was older. I really don't consider it, like a big feat that I beat Roberto Duran. It was two great accomplishments that I beat him in 2 fights. But he was older, and I always say to everybody, that dude was one of the best fighters of all time, maybe the best lightweight of all time. That's remarkable to even say that about somebody, and I know boxing. I know what boxing's all about. He was a bad dude, man. At one point in his life, that was a bad man. He could fight.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy that's maybe the greatest lightweight of all time, moves up, goes the distance with Hagler at middleweight, then fights a tough Iran Barkley, who was, 168, and beats
Absolutely.
him?
Iran's one of my good friends. We went to Russia together. We went to Cuba together in the amateurs. Good man, Iran.
Yeah, one of the most exciting fighters of that decade also.
Absolutely.
And the fights he had with Robbie Sims and all those guys, I mean, the guy was a great fighter.
I love that you bring that up. Like I always say, I beat Marvin Hagler's brother, Robbie Sims.
And Marvin Hagler's brother
was a bad dude. He's a bad
yeah,
dude. Let me tell you, I went down to Brockton one time. I watched those two guys spar. And when I tell you it was a frickin' war, oh, my God, they were killing each other. So Robbie was really good. To hang with Marvin Hagler, you got to be good just to hang with him. Never mind to beat him and fight him. Oh, my God. He was a bad dude, Marvin. And Robbie was neck and neck with him. They used to go at it. And then I fought him.
Robbie
I was so excited when I fought him. Well, Robbie was a good fighter.
Didn't you? You handled Robbie pretty good, if I remember.
I beat him easy, and I beat him on a bad night. You know, I didn't beat him the way I wanted to. And, you know, people don't understand and don't realize, like, you know, just because you see a guy fighting with it, don't mean he's, like, at the top of his game. Don't mean he's not sick. Don't mean he doesn't have problems. Like, I had a lot of problems when I went into the Robbie Sims fight. You know, I had an ulcer and just had a bad night. But I beat him pretty good, too. And I knew I could have beat him a lot better. It's funny because after him, I fought Roberto Duran, and I called up Goody Petronelli, and I asked him if he'd come down and give me a little bit of sparring. It'd be good work for me. So like, Anthony, you know, you got to pay him. I'm like, sure, of course I know. I said, okay, you know, I paid him, came down. We were supposed to box 6 rounds. They took him out of the ring after 4 rounds. I got ready like it was a title fight. I beat the tar out of him in my gym. I felt great. It was like one of those days. And like, you know, so after the fight, after the sparring session, when I'm taking off my gloves, my father was taking off my gloves. Goody comes over, and he goes, wow, Vinny, he says, you really improved, huh? I said, Goody, come on. I said, well, where am I going to improve? I'm 33 years old. I said, I had a bad night the night that we fought. I told you I had problems. You heard? I'm sure you heard. I had problems that night. I said, if I would have done that to him that night. He laughed like I was joking.
I want to get to the movie here pretty quick, but I want to bring up one more name. That was, you challenged Roy Jones Jr. Jones, I mean, was Jones the best fighter you ever fought? And were you confident going into that fight?
I felt terrible going into that fight too. I out of 60 fights that I had, out of 60 pro fights, I had 5 bad nights. That was one of my bad nights. Haugen 2, Loretto Garza, Roger Mayweather, Aaron Davis, and Roy Jones. And I felt like shit in each and every one of them. A couple of them I couldn't make weight for. A couple of them I just was not anywhere close to my game. And you know, like Jones was the hardest guy that I fought, you know, and I felt like I was so terrible. I was so bad that night. You know, no one knows that, but just terrible. And he was off the hook fast. It wasn't like he was so strong. He was so fast. It was like Hector Camacho speed, even better. And Hector was a hell of a fighter and had a lot of speed, like one of the fastest guys ever. Jones was like that. And believe it or not, Jones is still fighting. I don't know how he feels.
He's getting knocked out, too, by guys that shouldn't even be in the ring.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah,
and you talked about Camacho, who just recently passed away. I think it was a year or two ago. I think people really underestimate how good he was also.
Oh, he was a great fighter. My God. He was so fast. He was, at the time, he was like the fastest guy ever at that time. He had speed coming out of his bunghole. But the night I fought him, I couldn't. I was tough making weight. We tried to get him to fight me at 147, but he's a smart little fucker. He wouldn't take it at 147. He made me lose and take it at 140. Because I think if I fought him at 147, I would have beat him. But I couldn't beat him at that weight. Too much.
So Vinny, let's get to this. I mean, and I can't wait to see this. The filming of Bleed for this is done. It's the movie about your life. How do you think the film did in terms of portraying your real-life story, which was one of the greatest comebacks in boxing history?
I'll tell you what, I saw it a couple of weeks ago in New York City with the writer and director Ben Younger, who did the most fabulous job ever. Martin Scorsese just edited it the week before. It's incredible, and it is accurate 99%. The 1% that is not accurate is when I won a bunch of money at a casino. They underestimated because people wouldn't believe like that I really won that much. They underestimated, I swear, because I'm like so, I live my life like I fight, and that's not good all the time. It's not good, yeah. So,
well, was it a casino owned by Donald Trump? I know you had some dealings with Donald Trump. You fought for him.
But to be honest with you, no. It was a Bally's hotel that I'd won. The first score I ever made. I had $500 in my pocket. It was right after I won my first world title. I was with some pretty chick, and went to Atlantic City. George Foreman fight was on. We watched the fight. She went to bed. I went down to gamble. $500 in my pocket. I walked back up to the room when the casinos at the time closed at 4 o'clock, Mike. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
It closed at 4, so I came back up to the room at about 4:30, and she goes, "Hey, where were you? Are you okay?" I go, "Honey, look at this." And I had the whole, I made them, I took chips back to the room, like all the chips, and I threw $65,000 worth of chips on the bed. It was nuts. So in the movie, they kind of, pattern that out, but they make them win it, I think, around 20,000, something, 25,000. They under-exaggerated.
So a couple weeks ago, you're sitting there, you're watching a movie, and it's about your life, basically. I mean, what is that? That has to be kind of surreal to watch something like that.
I went with the girl that I'm seeing, who is a little star. I got two great girls in my life right now, and it's amazing because when you do something great, when something great is in the early stages, you got to have a great foundation. I got a really good foundation right now, and like I'm going to utilize this movie to do a lot of things, to help myself quite a bit, to help other people a lot. And I got two great women in my life right now. One is my PR girl, and the other one is the girl that I'm seeing. I got lucky. I see the beautiful girl, who's strong, tough chick, and my PR girl, Zena, is the bomb. She's like the one, and it's awesome. I'm very lucky. I feel very lucky. So usually when things in life are going good, they keep going good, and they go down the good road. Usually when you go down the bad road, it keeps going bad until you turn things around like in a big way. And I've done that because I went down the wrong road for a long time. After my 50th win in 2004, it's been a struggle for me.
Yeah. You want to tell us a little bit about the company, the director, the producer, the actors? I know you got Miles Teller, who's a rising star, was in, I think, Whiplash and Insurgent. Plus you got Kate Segal. You want to talk a little bit about the cast and crew?
The cast, the movie, when I was watching the movie, it was just amazing. Like how I really didn't think it was going to be that good. I really didn't. They did a couple of things when I was at the filming that I didn't like, but those never made it into the screen. The picture is amazing. It's unbelievable. The actors all did the greatest jobs. Karen Hines, who played my dad, did wonderful, even looked like my father. Katie Segal, who played my mother, looked like my mother. It acted like my mom. It was just awesome. Aaron Eckhart, who played Kevin Rooney, was fabulous. Miles Teller, the star of the show, was the bomb. He just played the greatest part. And when you think about it, he's not a boxer. He's an actor, and he couldn't have acted any better. He played me to a T, and he even looked good when he was fighting, and that's hard to do for a non-actor, for a non-boxer to act like a boxer. That's not easy to do. That's pretty hard, especially when it's me. I'm very unorthodox, and just everybody did just such a fabulous job. it's pretty funny. Like the one thing that sticks out in my mind is in the beginning when I was talking with Miles one day, and he says to me, and this was right in the beginning when I had just met him. I talked to him maybe twice, and he says, "Vinny, can you come around? Can I hang around with you a little bit?" He said, I want to, watch what you do and see your reactions, and I want to see if I can get down your accent and everything. And I was like, whoa, Miles, I don't have a fucking accent. What are you talking about? He goes, oh no, you don't have an accent, Vinny. Sure you don't.
Now, you talked
funny.
about, the one big drawback I've seen from a lot of boxing movies is when the lead actor doesn't look like a boxer. How did Miles prepare for the role? Did you help him with any of the boxing?
He looked good. No, he didn't want me there for a lot of the boxing because he was embarrassed. And he said, Vinny, you intimidate me too much, and I'd really like if you wouldn't come and watch me. And I didn't. He did a great job. He got cut up good. He put on some muscle. He did a nice job. Everything was good. The movie was absolutely fabulous. I'm amazed at how good the movie was. I swear. As soon as it ended, there was about 50 people in this small movie theater where Ben Younger took me to show it, and Ben was on my right-hand side, my girl was on my left-hand side, and as soon as it ended, I looked over at Ben. I said, Ben, can I see that again? He goes, Vinny, no, I'm sorry, you can't see it again.
No, I want to see it now, Vinny, and you're going to make us wait till when, October?
Yeah, I think it's going to come out around October.
All right. What do you think True Boxing
They're placing it there, Mike, so they go right before the awards because they think they're going to win a lot of awards.
Well, maybe you could pull off a Rocky and you can get up there and get an Oscar.
Maybe. Yeah, never know.
But what do you think true boxing fans will say about the fight scenes in the movie?
They're gonna look and say, "Wow, this is pretty good." Because I hate fight scenes in movies that are bad. I hate them. Yeah, but this is pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah,
I know
the way it's all about the camera. It's all about the angle, the camera work. And they did a great job.
I know you were involved.
Mike, I literally had the greatest producing team like ever on my movie. It's so nuts. Like, not bragging, like holy shit, how did it even happen? Martin Scorsese. I got Bruce Cohen, Pamela Thur. They're all like big award-winning movie makers, and it's just amazing. Like the magnitude that this movie has reached. Like, they're already talking about it winning an Oscar. That's so crazy. And I think, man, I just wanted a box when I was 5 years old. I don't think I asked for all this.
Yeah, but the thing that's cool about that is there's going to be some other 5 or 6 year or 10 or 15-year-old kid that's going to go watch that movie, and the next day He's going to wake up and he's going to tell his parents, I want to be a boxer like Vinny.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, who would have thought 40 years ago, sitting there watching that movie, that 40 years later you would be sitting in a theater watching a movie similar about your own life story?
I know. Yeah, my life's crazy, and I just wanted a box when I was 5 years old. I say it all the time.
Now, I know from reading about you, you're involved in a lot of other business ventures today. You want to tell us about those? Well,
I got a couple of things going on, and a real big one, a good one, is my wine, and my wine is really outstanding. I got to taste a bunch of flavors from Italy, from the grapes, and I got a cool wine. It's really good. It's called 5 Times Better. What else could we call it, Mike? Of course.
That's a good name, though.
Yeah, and the bottle is awesome. The tag that I have on it is pretty awesome. My PR girl's got a bunch of goodies in the fire. So you'll be hearing of a couple things here and there going on. And little by little, I just want to go around. I'm going to go around the world because Sony bought the movie. So I'll be traveling around the world doing motivational speeches, appearances, and that's right up my alley. That's what I was born to do.
Well, that's the perfect one because my last question to you was this. Vinny, in closing, you were a winner in the ring and in life. I mean, you went through some tough times, though, came through it, as you talked about. What would you say to people out there that might be going through a rough patch in their life?
Two words come to mind, like, all the time, and it's so friggin' true. You got to stay strong. You got to stay strong. You got to work hard. You got to be a little lucky. But you got to work hard. That makes the luck come your way even more when you work hard. You got to work hard, and you can't quit. Like literally, that's the basis of when I speak. Persistence and determination. You got to work hard, and you can't quit. 4 things. I say 4 things why I won 5 world titles. Persistence and determination, got to work hard, you can't quit. Those 4 things made me win 5 world titles.
That's good enough. Vinny, it's been an honor having you on the show tonight. Like I said, when I was younger, and I'm not making this up, you were one of my favorite fighters. Loved to watch you fight in your home. I mean, your home stadium was electric. Was Providence? I remember watching multiple fights from there, and I mean, it was an honor to have you on tonight, and I wish you all the best with the movie being released later on this year.
So cool, Mike. Thank you very much, and it was a pleasure.
Hey, and real quick, before we forget, you want to tell everybody about your webpage and your Twitter account if they want to follow along so they can get all the latest on the movie release?
You just, on Twitter, you just hit 5 times, 5X. And it comes up, and on my website's vinnypaz.com, and that I'm not even sure if it's up and running again. We took it down, trying to make it better and better all the time, but it will be up and running if it's not now, shortly. So that's vinnypaz.com.
Yeah, and I know I was on it the other day, or probably about a couple weeks ago. I mean, really impressive site, a lot of good information, a lot of pictures, and I mean, I would highly recommend everybody going to it.
Good, thank you.
And I want to remind everybody to go follow us on the Grueling Truth Facebook page. You can follow us at Grueling Truth on Twitter. Our guest tomorrow night that we just lined up today was former Kansas City Chief, All-Pro running back Christian Okoye. He'll be on Tuesday night. Wednesday night, we'll have former Cincinnati Bengal defensive lineman Gary Burley. Thursday night, we will have former Cincinnati Bengals offensive lineman Brian Blados. And we got confirmation today that Minnesota Viking Hall of Fame defensive lineman Carl Eller will be on the show here sometime in the next 2 weeks. So for Vinny Pazienza, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.